So we are here on Virtualbox for the creation of the new virtual machine. The virtual machine that we will create will be named Ubuntu SRV. We are going to begin by initiating a new virtual machine. For that, we are going to click on New. Here we must give a name to the virtual machine. We will call it Ubuntu SRV. So Ubuntu SRV to say Ubuntu server. After naming it, you will notice that the system detects that Ubuntu is of Linux type automatically and that is created on a 64-bit version. Regarding memory, the virtual machine needs at least 2 gigs of memory. This corresponds to about 2048 for the memory. So here we are going to register 2048 so that our virtual machine functions well. So that it doesn't slow down. Then we can leave the default value, which corresponds to 1024, which is about 11 GB of RAM. With 1024, the machine will work, it's just that it will be a bit longer. But that's not what we want here, so we are not going to take any risks, and we will put 2048 in memory. So now the software suggests that we create a virtual hard disk. We are not going to change it because that's not what we are interested in. So here we will leave it as a virtual hard disk. Then we are going to click on Create. For the type of hard disk file, we choose VDA. So we leave the default value. For the storage of the physical hard disk, we choose size fixed because it is often faster and easier to use. According to the requirements for the proper functioning of our virtual machine, we need at least 25 gigs. But here we will enter 50 gig for the size of the hard disk, just to have enough margin. After that, we will have to see if our PC is much larger in terms of storage. You can put in much more space for the virtual hard disk. So after we have chosen the size of the virtual hard disk for our virtual machine, we are going to click on Create to create a virtual machine. Now this is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm going to pause the video and come back later at the end of the creation of this virtual machine. So after creating the virtual machine, you can see that here are all the steps we had to take since the beginning of the operation. Here you can see that we have chosen the name Ubuntu server that has been coded on 64-bit, the RAM that we have chosen in 2048, the choice of the hard disk. The display is also here. You can notice in storage that there is no hard disk, that therefore we will have to go and find one, because otherwise the installation of a machine will not follow and it is not what we want here. So for that, there is a very important step not to forget, that is to set up the storage of the virtual machine. For that, we must go to select the ISO of the virtual machine that we downloaded during the previous course. This is the image that we will use to make our virtual machine, so we will go to Configuration. Then we have to go to Storage, and here it is empty, and therefore it is there that we have to insert our ISO. So for that, we are going to click here to choose the virtual hard disk. So normally it's already listed, mine is listed here. If yours is not, you can choose in hard disk in your files. It depends on where you have stored it. For example, I left it in the download. If you have it on the desktop, you go to your desktop and you look for it. So I'm going to take it there. Then we will just have to click OK, and then we will have everything in place for our Ubuntu machine to be operational. So I hope you have understood all the steps to follow to perform a virtual machine creation that we just created. And finally, we would just have the final installation to do after launching the machine. So here we are. This is already the end of this video. I hope you liked it and that you understood everything. That is to say, all the steps we had to do to create the virtual machine. Thank you for listening to me. See you next time.